Hey everyone, welcome to a very special call today. I have Alex and Ron and Will, who are the QHS Ambassadors. So I'm super excited to hear from them and to have a wide range of topics to discuss. So hey guys, thanks so much for coming to hang out with me today.
Pleasure.
Hi, Tracee. Good to be with you.
An
Hi,
honor
Will.
once again.
So this time in history is just like no other. And you guys are natural leaders and you were born for this exact time in history. So we have this great change in our system on this planet, and it's being ended, right? So we have this time when your voice, your wisdom, your opinion are influencing thousands and tens of thousands of people. All of you guys are sharing your vision for a brighter future. And we know that taking the lead, being a leader, isn't easy. So it is fraught with challenge from people that have contrary opinions. And I know that you guys have felt that before. And no doubt there's people who don't share similar intentions either. And they make this known show up occasionally, right? With their digs and jabs. But your guys's graceful maneuvering through this labyrinth of challenges to the end goal that we all see is in broad display. And this evidence of your intentions and your commitment to others is also seen and known by many. So we appreciate you guys being here as ambassadors of QHS. And I'd like to each have you guys talk about, when did you choose to step into the spotlight? Who wants to start?
Do you mean like in a life way, a lifetime way, or just about QHS?
In what you're doing now with the things that you've been working on, like Alex. I mean, you have been in this for decades.
Well, when I decided to come to Earth, they gave me a travel brochure, and none of this stuff was in it. So I probably would have had second thoughts. I don't know. I've had an extremely unique experience, and there were things that were shared with me about us, about humanity. And I just, I thought, well, what is the best way to do this? And I thought about, writing a book. I thought about writing children's books, which actually I have 3 on my computer already done. And I thought, well, I could put this stuff in there, but it just didn't happen that way. And looking back, I don't know that I had any control over it. It's like this current, this current of spirit that just moves you. It just takes you where it needs you to be, and you get there, and you're like, okay, you surrender to it. And in the beginning, it's very hard because you're self-conscious about everything, about your presentation, about how you look, what you dress like, how you sound, what you're saying. And then, after you get past all that, then you deal with all of the criticisms of what you're saying and what the information you're sharing and the way you're sharing it. And you get all the pushback. And then once you get past that, you realize that, and I can certainly say this about Ron, and I'm still learning about Will, that, like, for sure, Ron was fitted for the times. He was absolutely fitted for the times with everything he's done with One World and the whole thing and the way he set that up. It's an amazing thing that's going to benefit so many people, and it literally just needs to be plugged in. I mean, that's a gift. It's like an artist writing a song in 35 minutes and it goes to #1. It's a gift. It just happens. I don't know that that's happened for Will or me. We've had to slog through the mud But nonetheless, it's about truly being dedicated to the message and being dedicated to knowing that what we're doing benefits a lot of people, and that not just present time, but future generations. Because in the end, with everything that we're learning about the deception and the false history and the criminality of so many different corporate theocracies, for lack of a better word, the one thing that we all realize, the three of us here, four of us, is that in the end, the only thing left standing is going to be the truth. Because the truth doesn't need any help to survive. It is survival because it's the truth. And once you understand that and you realize what you're doing, whether it's a big piece or a little piece, you just move forward. And the universe backs you. It just makes things happen. It brings the right people into your life. It brings in the right opportunities. It brings in the right type of technology, such as quantum healing systems. It just somehow comes together as long as we stay out of the way.
So when did you start, like we're sharing, when did you start in this
My
space
first
that you're
public talk was in 1991.
19, that's a long time ago. How about you, Ron?
Well, it's thank you, Alex, for those kind words. I'm the only one on the earth to stand up and take a bow for what the Alliance has downloaded to me. And that's kind of a humbling position. A lot of people think that I'm in charge. Well, I am in charge of Love One Society. I am the overseer of Love One Society, and the Alliance gave it, downloaded it to me over a 6-year period of time. I must admit that the money factor of the revaluation and the redemption was the key factor to kind of hook me into where I'm supposed to be. I've been receiving revelations for 30 years, perhaps more, and it's been fine-tuned now to where they trust me receiving from them to download the Love One Society programs. And I had to think it all through. I had to almost feel like it's my own creation, so that I can come up with the right things, and then I present it. And well, you're real close, but there's other things that you want to think about. So I get pushed back to the table and drawing board. And Love One Society started out as crowdfunding in the beginning, but that was just a totally different process. And it fine-tuned from that. I had an experience with a friend in Africa, and he was telling me about the problems between Sudan and South Sudan, and they're fighting over whose oil is whose. And I said to him at the time, knowing that we were getting all kinds of funds, why don't we just buy the oil in the ground, and then we can make an agreement so that you're not fighting back and forth. Let's just make an agreement and then pay you for all of the oil in the ground. And then if it comes out, we'll sell it for whatever price we need to do. And that was like the beginning of the economic stabilization system program, because we buy everything and then we sell it to the distribution systems that's already established, and our profit is not involved in that because this is free money for us. So that's kind of an example of how Love One Society came to me. I was not planning on sharing Love One Society as it was coming to me. And then I had some friends who suggested that this be available for other people. and because it's on the internet and all over the world. So it made sense for me to do that. And then that created the sharing process of the revenue sharing platform and revenue sharing solutions platform that will be, it's already being created by the Alliance, and they just have to turn it on, and then I have to give them my opinion about it. which is oh really, you want my opinion about this? But pictures and that sort of thing for the website. But
So Ron, when did you
yes,
start your blogging and Loved One Society? What year was that?
I started the website in 2020, and in June of that year, and then it's blossomed into we've redone it 3 different times, and of course you know about the third time, Tracee, because you were a major factor in helping me get that taken care of, which I have eternal gratitude for you for that.
Thank you.
But
you've been
so
for 30 years. So you've been in this collective space for a lot longer than 3.5 years.
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
Okay.
just they had to test me out to see if I'm worthy to receive the sacred calling as the overseer of Loved One Society.
Okay.
So
They took you out for a spin.
say again.
They took you out for a spin.
Yeah, they did.
And you too, Alex, you went out for quite a few spins, right? I want to go on a
Yeah.
spin one day.
Yeah.
Will, how about you?
Yeah.
You're on a different like segue than these guys, right? You're in a different component. And when did you start doing what you're doing?
Well, it's interesting. I've been on this path for well over 15 years. It was probably 13 years ago that I formally left banking, though I'd had enough. It was interesting. I was involved in venture capital in all types of commercial projects from a banking perspective. And I began to see a lot of what I would call abuse. The system was designed to loan to own and to take over everybody's project if they liked it, right? And it was really bothering me. I was having a hard time with this. I was seeing things going on that were morally bankrupt, you might say. I don't think there was a moral decision in much of what I was seeing as I was in banking for many years. And I finally decided that there has to be something that is driving this paradigm of what's going on. And that really led me down a series of rabbit holes where I became awakened to the entire system, the cabal's matrix that they had put the entire world into. And when you finally realize what's there and you wake up, you're never the same. It was about 15 years ago that myself and a series of other founders that I have here at my organization had a spiritual epiphany, if you will, but we heard the call and decided we were going to do something about launching projects in a way that is not abusive, that is blessing everyone. And it's taken some different, kind of like Ron's story, it's taken some different turns along the way, but we're trying to build an organization that can take an idea or even a basic business plan and turn that into a viable operating company. And we're trying to do this for thousands of companies per year to provide an infrastructure to do that. What became really clear was that there's a lot of work to do. We have a whole world to rebuild on the other side of what we're coming out of here. And it became clear that if we don't have our health, we're not going to be here to do this. And so, we've been searching for many years, looking for healing modalities that we thought would at least extend life a little bit, if not help us in some significant way. I was quite impressed when, as a youth, my father had a dream about a device that today we would call that a healing bed. He didn't know he was trying to find words to describe it, but he was so impressed by it. He called the family together and said, look, I've seen this thing. This is going to happen. This is going to be a reality. He passed away in 99 due to cancer. And, but the details of that, and when that came about was a similar timeline to Dr. A and what he was doing. It was around the same year. And so it was really fascinating when I learned about what's going on here, that these types of technologies that are here to help us have been suppressed, just like everything else in the system. It was a system of suppress the blessings, suppress everything, get people taxed up to their eyeballs, and let's hope they're happy with that and they don't complain. And now the world is awakening and realizing what's going on here. So we've spent a lot of years now. It's like I said, we've been 15 years plus on this to try to get a structure, kind of like Ron's been working in Loved One Society for a long time. We're trying to get a structure of how to roll out projects in a way that is effective and where we can handle the caseload that we know is there. So along with that, of course, we began looking at ways of funding this. So it's interesting. I got in touch with some people that were on the same wavelength as I was, and they said, you really ought to look at these historical bonds. And I didn't know anything of it in the early days, but through a series of introductions, got involved in what was going to be revaluation of currencies and with bonds. And I got introduced to some of the elders and the families that hold vast sums of wealth that they're holding for this express purpose of blessing humanity. And they needed a way to bring that forward. It had to be done in a transactional way. Many of these bonds and various things that people are waiting for revalue on were never designed to be in the public. They were never expected to be given to the public, because those transactions with various countries 100 plus years ago were done privately with very wealthy families. And these families could trace their wealth back generations. So what's occurred is what looked like a situation that they didn't want to happen, and that is this stuff to get to the public. They actually saw that as a blessing, because how better to help humanity than to spread it far and wide in the hands of the people who will do projects, who will do something beautiful with it. And it actually has become a bigger, more glorious vision, even for them that want to fund this and are putting up vast assets. And of course, they're working with, as Ron said, there's an alliance of individuals involved in this. I think we're all part of that, to be honest, because for years we've been doing this. I spent a number of years doing weekly. In those days, it was phone calls. We did big conference calls, and then those would be uploaded where they'd be viewed by thousands of times. And it got to the point where I was frustrated because I wanted to get on with the project, and I didn't feel like talking about the money was going to bring that any closer, because it wasn't going to affect the timeline. What needed to happen was some other things. So I backed away from that for a period of time and worked on some of the other things that I felt like was going to be helpful. And then I'd say over the last 18 months, decided to crawl back out of the cave. I'd done my work, and now it's time to get everybody on the same boat. And fortunately, many people do remember those previous calls and have come and joined with us as we've come back into explaining what we're here to do. And it's what's interesting as we're talking about ambassadors, being ambassadors with loved ones, with QHS Quantum Healing Systems. What brought us here? Why are we here? We're here because Quantum Healing Systems is touching everything on our planet. Everything is needing to be healed. There's not just people, but there's animals, plants, there's everything that needs to undergo a healing process. And frequency is that healing. Frequency is everything, because we are light beings. We are frequency. That is who we are. And so we got to get away from these chemical concoctions and start getting into feeding ourselves with light and energy, because that is our nature. And so quantum healing system it was an immediate thing for us to say, this needs to be supported, this needs to be funded, this needs to be moved in forward, and we want to do that any way that we can.
Cool. Yeah, I feel that. I'm so excited about what's to come with QHS and with the new products on the board. It's going to be so amazing. So in order for me to kind of synchronize what you three are doing, and see what is in common, if you were to each say just a one sentence goal, an ultimate goal that you have, then I can see what you guys share. Like Alex earlier mentioned the truth, that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But is there anything that you would say, Alex, is like your primary goal with your work?
If I had to break it down to just one thing, it would be for everyone to realize that they are so much more than they've been told.
Wow.
That would be a drum roll.
And you're absolutely correct about that, Alex, because it was I watched many of your videos that actually helped me with my awakening. You've been at this a long time, but I've been listening to you for a long time. And you really helped me to open my mind and my heart to greater possibilities, because what the work I see you doing is really lifting the conscious energetic level of society. You have been at this for years, and your impact, I think, is far bigger than you expect.
Probably. It's probably true.
Oh, 100%.
Well, for years I felt like I was shouting into the wind. But I guess that just goes because, it goes against the grain of everything we're being forced to consume. So, but thank you, Ron. Thank you, Will. I had no idea.
Oh, it was incredible. I used to be thrilled to hear you talk about these things, because ultimately, as people do awaken and they come to a realization, they start seeing things with their real eyes. Okay. I think that's where real eyes came from, but it's amazing. I remember back in the day when I woke up, I felt like I was a lone guy in the wilderness too. I was like, there's got to be less than 1% of us. Like we need more people to get this. And I wondered how long that would take, but it's accelerating at such a pace now that I think we're arriving at a place where we're hitting that logarithmic curve where it really changes everything.
Yeah, there's no stopping it at this point.
I'm sorry, Alex.
I was just saying that there's no stopping it at this point.
No.
Yeah,
it's true.
So, Will, what would you say that is your one goal, like a one sentence goal with what you're doing?
Our focus is launching projects. Everything about how to get a project off the ground and moving. That's our entire focus. But that's also why we want to see QHS go, because we think it is a much bigger project than even people realize. And we want to put all the support behind it that we can.
Yeah.
Cool. And Ron?
If I were to describe Loved One Society, I would say it is the Lord's way of distributing phenomenal wealth to the world that has been held in lack consciousness. It's what was taught to us. We're just not enough money. There's not enough love. There's not enough this, that, and the other. And it's moving to the point where we're yielding to the Spirit. We're letting our lives, we have held on to things that were not true. We were held into a position that could be manipulated because the lack consciousness and the lack of whatever was obvious to us. And so we're just trying to survive. Little did we know that Prime Creator created us as creators. And we're the ones that are going to create this movement towards the golden age of mankind. Loved One Society is an asset for the Alliance to use in that regard by bringing money in an organized way to the people. I heard say the $25 million is going to be given to every man, woman, and child. And I'm thinking, wow, that's going to blow society completely apart. But if you have an organized way to give that and make society liquid, get rid of the cabal, take them away from the resistance that they have created for us, and we as creators of God will create something, it'll be like a miracle for the entire earth. Loved One Society's programs are designed to make an economic change that will bring forth the joy and the happiness that is allowed for us as children of our Father. And I see, it's more than I had any hope for being involved, and yet I'm opening up to the reality of what God is trying to do here on the earth to create the golden age of mankind so that we can find joy in the happiness that we're looking for and have looked for all of our lives. And now we get to have it. And that's what I see as far as Loved One Society fulfilling that, augmenting what God wants for his children.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Awesome. And so then all three of you guys are on the same path. You're all committed to freedom and to sovereignty and to educating everyone who has ears to hear. And the future is subject to the release of these shackles that hold us as slaves that Ron mentioned. This monetary system, the judicial system, the global oligarchs that own the corporations, the WHO, WEF, the UN. Is there anything you guys can tell our members about this subject?
That is so huge, Tracee. but yeah, let's just
pick one.
I like to narrow things down to the core components. We have been enslaved in a system that is a network across the entire planet, and it was in the religious, the governmental, the military, the financial systems. All of these systems were conscripted to enslave the world. However, as the people now are waking up, and this awakening is now right in front of us, and the way things are going in the Middle East is a core component as to how awake people are. They're not buying the narratives anymore. They're beginning to trust their intuition. So as we're getting to this, what we're seeing now is that the shackles are being removed because we're choosing to simply take them off. We always had the power to do so. We're making choices now to remove ourselves from that system and to go to something else. So I think what we're all about here, the individuals on this call, is we want to accelerate this process of awakening and removing ourselves from the shackles. And we want to do all that we can to help bless the world in a way that brings further light, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You know, Ron said something that I think was interesting about, you know, if you just handed out 25 million to everybody, you'd wreck them. He didn't say it exactly that way, but that's my words. I think that's true because there, along with additional financial capacity, there has to be a moral and spiritual maturity to handle that increased responsibility. So as we're coming from this slavery system, we're slaves and we're learning, we're like little children learning how to be sovereign, how to be our own person, to make our own choices, to build our own lives, to create. We're here to create. So I think that as we move forward with what's coming this is coming fast. It's within days now. We're about to launch into some new and beautiful things. And it is kind of wonderful that it doesn't just go 0 to 60 like tomorrow in a day, so to speak. There is steps that we go through. I think that's good because we all need to learn. When I first started waking up and I started watching Alex's videos, for instance, and I began to realize all of what was really happening, the real things that were going on, it took me some time to process that, to come to my own decisions about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to make a difference and an impact. And I think each person on this planet walks through those same similar processes. So I think we just be kind to one another. We help each other along the path, and we just try to be there to help each other when we're ready for the next steps.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be a lot
Very
of.
wise. Very wise.
Okay, what about you two? Do you have anything to add to the whole corruption, the releasing us, becoming sovereign?
I'll
No?
yield to you first, Alex, if you'd like.
Somewhere in our past, humanity was free. Humanity has not always been enslaved. And the process was mental slavery, getting us to lock ourselves down. In other words, take our perspective from here, narrow it down to here, and convince us that this is all there was. So we would not want to venture out. And for those incredible, wonderful souls like Nikola Tesla, Aristotle, Marcus Aurelius, those that stepped out of the box, they were usually persecuted, or if they couldn't shame them during their lifetime, they tried to attack them afterwards. There have been many, many geniuses on this planet, and within us is that memory. We are soul. We are not the physical body, and soul carries memory. At conception, we imprint the soul on the physical body, in the blood, the central nervous system, etc. So we have this memory, whether we're aware of it or not. What's happening now with the influx of light with the changing of the plasma field around the solar system, with the higher dimensional frequencies coming out of our sun and other suns that are beaming and hitting the planet, humanity is reawakening. We are remembering, soul memory is returning. And with that will come the memory of being sovereign souls. And that is what's happening. That's how I see it happening around the world. People, yes, they're seeing what's going on. They're no longer buying the bullshit. They realize what's going on. Many people see it. They haven't been able to put it into words yet, but they realize on some level that something is terribly wrong. And it's just a matter of time before that settles into themselves and the words come out about what they're really seeing and how they really feel about it. And it's at that point, and we're already beginning to see it in humanity, we are taking back our power. We realize we've been played for generations, generations and generations. We have been played. And the game's over. The game is over. So what we're having to do now is just play it out in such a way that it gives everyone an opportunity to wake up and empower themselves before we take down this entire system, and the realization that we are totally responsible for ourselves, that everybody is ready to accept that responsibility. Hopefully everybody will be, but we don't need everybody to. We just need a majority of people to be there in that place, and we can help them move along. We can carry them for a distance until they figure it out themselves. In protecting each other, we will remain free.
Yeah, well said.
It has to be.
I love that vision. I mean, I just feel like that's what we came here for, So, Ron, do you want to add anything to that?
A little bit different perspective. The cabal are not creators. They don't know how to create. Those who are in the likeness and image of a prime creator are creators. Now, if you take away our ability to understand who we are and make us slaves, then our creation energies will feed and have fed the cabal and their system for thousands of years. Now, if we understand I look at weapons of war. Humans created that, but we're under the control of the cabal to be able to do that, or a reason for us to create that way. It's not in our natural way of creating that we would create something that would kill somebody else. But under the influences that have been we have been raised in, that's what is happening. That's all going away now. And we're finding out who we are, and we get to create something different. And in that creation, we find the joy and the happiness that God wants us to have. Men are that they might have joy. Well, we're going to come back to that by just eliminating the cabal's way of doing things. Now, there's a lot of people who will have some problems with this because it gets into the sacred things and the way people believe and worship and that sort of thing. If they find out who they really are, they'll say to themselves, I don't need anything outside of me. I can create everything I want. We're moving into the fifth dimension, a place where we can think about things and create them by our thoughts. That's because of who we are. And coming into that on an individual basis is the hardest thing that a lot of people will have because they're holding on to things that are not true. Alex, bless your heart. Organized religion is the worst thing that can happen or could have happened to us as children of God, because they wanted us to worship other things. They wanted us to worship things outside of us, so we could never know that the real God is within us, that we are the gods. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I am the Lord God of my being, and no other God before me. We're not supposed to be worshiping anything outside of us, period, exclamation point. This is what is coming. We're going to learn how to be who God wanted us to and created us to be, without any restrictions from outside of us. We will be glorious in what we create, and the joy will be just unmeasurable. That's my vision of how we're going to be.
I love it.
Wow, I think we're done.
Mic drop. Oh, I better not drop this.
I think we're done.
Okay, actually, I just have two more
Thank you.
questions. Let's bring it around to QHS, okay? So you guys are all three speaking to others outside of QHS about our project. And I was just wondering, have you heard out there? Is there anything that makes you excited? Anything that makes you worried? You know, what can you share with us today?
I'll go first. I'll break the ice. I've heard nothing but positive things. There are people who expect this to be an instant fix, and it never is. And no one ever said it was. But it affects everybody very, very differently. But I've heard nothing but positive things from many, many different people. They all usually thank me, you know, for telling them about the device. And Tracee, I know that you can attest to this because of all your interviews. There are people who don't have a device yet because they haven't been able to sign on, but just the idea of it existing is making a difference, and it is changing their frequency themselves, because it's inspiring hope that there's another way to go. Because, you know, after what's happened here from 2020 to present, a lot of people are stepping back and away from the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry. And in fact, here in Colorado, 50% of all the parents in the entire state school system have said, we are no longer vaccinating our kids. We're done. We're absolutely done. And the schools are panicking because they get money, you know, and also the way it's been set up, you know, the only way the kids can go to school is if they have these vaccine cards. Well, if the parents aren't going to do it, the alternative is homeschooling. Okay, which means that the school system will crumble on itself because it hasn't been designed to teach kids anything.
Right.
Okay. And children will learn so much more at home than they ever will. So I think it's remarkable. And, you know, we just think, you know, this is the device, and we hear about people who have it, but there's so much more going on. It's literally creating a conscious envelope of shifts, of change that we don't realize is there yet. And every time someone who has the device or is using the device shares what's going on with them to somebody else, and that's shared, and that's shared, and that's shared, it's creating a consciousness shift away from the major medical system, which is to make you sick and then feed off of you with all this other crap to make you to hide the symptoms of what you're going through. where, you know, this is actually healing. In my opinion, this is my opinion, Collier, this is actually healing my body. And I know my body better than anybody. This is actually healing my body. So, you know, I said it out loud. Other people may have a difference of opinion, but you know what? I'm taking responsibility for my body. I'm not letting anybody else do it. So there you go.
Well said. Thank you. Okay, what about you two gentlemen? Do you have anything to say? What have you heard from your people?
Yes, I have.
I
This thing's amazing. Okay. And it isn't just me saying that. Everybody that has come to QHS and has had an opportunity to get this is now speaking about, I'm hearing about it. And it isn't, to Alex's point, it isn't just about whether you have it in your possession. When you know this is coming in the mail, you begin to feel different. Your body begins to get ready for that. And it's the conscious and energetic level is unbelievable. The results people are talking about, that is not the physical things, the emotional, the mental, more clarity, easier to deal with the ups and downs and stresses of the day. These are the things that you can't necessarily measure, but you do feel it. You do experience that. And this it's been a tremendous blessing for me. I tell everybody about it. I keep it with me all the time. And what I can tell you right now is that the awareness of this is about to explode. It's that we are about to hit a massive shift, and everyone's going to be wanting this. So I know QHS is doing all they can to try to get deliveries done and to ramp that process up, and they will keep doing that. And we will do all that we can. As funds are released and things are made available, we'll do whatever we can to help in that process, because the awareness of the planet is going to be that this helps. Now, one thing I want to say about this is a device. And to Alex's point, and Ron's too, when we know who we are, we don't need training wheels anymore. This is a training wheel. When we get to understanding who we are as creators, we can create the body we want. And when we're in the fifth dimension, that's going to be something we do at will.
I think it's gonna take that hard.
But these help us to learn to begin to think in that way of having wholeness and health, and it's necessary. It's filling a necessary role as we develop further into who our real what our real ability is and who we really are to create our own health in our own life.
And I do
Ron?
think it's necessary. It is a tool, but and I think it's going to take us until we get to that next level, because I've said this to Ron for a long time. If we truly had the ability to completely and fully heal ourselves, I've known Ron for a long time, and he is somebody who I would think he would have the ability of, you know, because he's so spiritually grounded and connected, and he's got all those superpowers that I long for. But if anybody could heal themselves, I would think Ron could, and he has some healing to do. So, and he has said this himself. He's like, I'm tired of waiting to be healed. Like, this is helping me. And right, Ron, do you want to speak on that?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to come from a little bit of a different perspective on this. The problems that we have in life, health-wise, they're there for a purpose. God always does things for a purpose. And sometimes you have to have the sickness and so forth, so that you can understand other people and how they're going through what they're going through. So it isn't just the healing that we're looking for. There's always a reason for it in my perspective. There's a reason for it. And that reason is something that we need to find out. Now, if something comes in outside of us and heals us, is there a loss of ability to go through it ourselves until we can find out for ourselves how to heal? I don't know. But it seems that there's something there. Now, I got the white device, the black one. I got rid of a gout attack in 2.5 days that normally takes a week to 10 days to heal. And that's with all of the medicines and everything that the pharmaceuticals have. But I got healed from mine in 2.5 days. Now, I don't have gout right now, but I'll tell you, my heart fell in love with this white device because my heart knows that my body is being healed by this in ways that have not reached the threshold for me to understand it yet. So it's doing the work without us knowing about it. And so if we just allow it and believe in it and let it do its thing, oh, this isn't doing me any good, I'm going to put it away. I've heard people say that kind of stuff, but it's not true. It's going to heal you and do what your body needs to have done until you have a threshold that says, oh, look at that. I didn't know that was going to. I have a brother who this healed his, can you see it? Who healed his cancer. I gave him mine when it came so he'd have two. And he had prostate cancer. He doesn't have any PSA, which is an indication that you have cancer in your body. He doesn't have it anymore.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. See, so those are thresholds that he can believe in. And I'm looking forward to the understanding the thresholds as they come to me, because I just held on to this with the sacredness of my heart.
You know,
So,
sorry, Ron. That
no,
makes a
go
really
ahead.
good point, because I just recorded a video with Cynthia and it's going to come out tomorrow. And she talks about the God spark and her whole understanding, like when she was at a physics lab doing this particle accelerator project, and how they said you can't watch the particles in this tube. You cannot look at them until the process is complete. Because if you tell the particle to do something, like through your mind, if you're watching the particle, like if you tell this particle to spin in a circle, it's going to spin in a circle. So no humans can be in that room during this particle acceleration process. And I thought that's what Ron just said. It's like, it's our intentions and our feelings toward this device, our belief and knowing that it's going to do the work that it's designed to do, that are going to accelerate the results. So does that make sense?
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
You know,
Okay.
Ron has said to me a couple times that in conversations that he believes that the device actually bonds with us, and it resonates to us and recognizes us, so that sometimes when we give it to someone else, it won't work the same way, because we basically, even though we have it, we're also programming it. Our body is our consciousness.
It's
Ron,
like an
talk
entrainment.
about that some more. That's a good thing.
It's like an entrainment the whole thing with the entrainment to the vibration of the atoms, it probably entrains to your body. Would that make sense?
Yes.
It does. In 1910, Wallace Wattles issued a book called The Science of Getting Rich. And the premise of his book, and this is, over 100 years ago, was this: that our thoughts are so powerful that matter must obey.
I
Mm.
love
and
that.
and that that we create our lives. Over 100 years ago, people couldn't even understand it then. He was way ahead of his time. Very interesting.
For sure.
But we're experiencing similar things with these, aren't we? Just, like Alex said, this is becoming one with us. And that's beautiful.
That's very cool.
Now, I would just add to that, Will, that's an example of things to come. When we can finally figure out in our mind and in our hearts what it is that we need to do to heal ourselves. We're being trained by allowing
Yes.
this to take over, and yet it's our heart and our heart connection to everything that has been thought, every whatever in existence. Our heart has access to that and knows everything that the body needs. And it's hard for us to tune into our heart to the extent that becomes real for us or true for us. But we're going to get there. And these things are just a part of the accelerating process that we're going through as we become aware of our creation abilities, because that's who we are. So this is just a gentle reminder as we move forward with God's way of doing things.
Awesome. Hey, before we get to the last question, Ron, to go along with your superpowers, what color cape would you like?
Well, I can show you the colors I like are blue and pink.
Okay.
Blue for the male and pink for the female as a bond together.
I'll have to get some feminine help with that.
There you go.
This has been so fun with the three of you, Tracee, Alex, and Ron. It's so fun to get together with friends and discuss the real beauty that is the world we live in. And as our eyes have become opened and we become to see the beauty around us and within us, and what's possible with these things, it's just a joy to be with you this evening. I've enjoyed it. I know we're about to get to a last question here, but I just want to thank you for letting me be with you tonight.
Oh, Will, you're so sweet. Thank you.
It's a privilege for me to be here. A privilege.
Same with me.
Yeah.
So the last question is, what are you most excited about for the future of what's coming down the pipeline with QHS and how this is going to be presented to the world, how it's going to change mankind? Because we have so many different projects, so many ways we're going to touch people. What has you the most excited?
Quantum Healing Systems has technology that is sacred. What does that mean? It's a gift from God that will help to heal mankind. And I've said this before, it is sacred technology that we're using here. Let's be sure we understand how sacred it is as we use it and as we bring it to the world. That's what I have to say.
Nice.
I'll jump in here and let Alex have the final word. What's happening, and I know this is the beginning of many things, but what's happening with QHS is that they're launching with this, but there's going to be many more technologies come. And I mentioned it earlier in the call that it affects our lives in many ways. Why? Because it encompasses everything from our food, our water, our energy. Everything about us is coming from a similar technological place as this. And this will affect our lives in a very huge way. We will look at our use of technology and energy differently through what's being revealed here. We can't talk about some of those future things yet, but we know some of what's coming. And it's going to even affect our ability to move. Transportation and many other things are going to be all altered by this kind of technology. You know, we look at Alex mentioned those that were ahead of their time: Aristotle, Tesla, and many others. Even Wallace Wattles with his book. It's interesting how we're now at a place where the time is now. We're no longer waiting for some future opportunity. It is here. It is available now. We are all experiencing the technology right now. We're not having to wait for anything. And that is something to rejoice about. This is amazing. And I love it. And I'm so glad that it's in my life. Thank you.
Awesome. You want to tie it up with a bow?
I don't know. These two legends in front of me.
Same to you, only more of it.
Wait, you mean 3, don't you? Hello.
Of course. Yes.
Got to add the feminine energy in there. It won't work.
I apologize. The three legends in front of me here. Ron is right. This is sacred. It's also very ancient technology. And what I mean by ancient is that this goes back to the creation of all things, frequency. Consciousness is frequency. Intent is frequency. The manifestation of the material is frequency. What I'm most excited about is all the obstacles that have been put in the way of getting this to as many people as possible being shut down, being moved out of the way, plowed out of the way, so that we can do what we need to do to help as many people as possible, and to take the other technologies and bring them forward as well, to be able to assist in giving everyone the opportunity to make decisions about their own healing, to repair limbs, to regrow limbs, to reverse age and give people back years that were lost. I mean, I can't think of any greater miracle or blessing to bestow on every single person than that, to give them back their lives, so that the life that they live in this time is of the highest quality. So that, you know, when it's time, they can say, I've accomplished what I came here to do. You know, I'm good. I can let go. There aren't regrets. There isn't sadness, that it's as benevolent as it possibly can be. That's what I wish for everybody. And I can't imagine myself being any other place than, you know, helping QHS get to this place, you know, and I've told Cynthia this, I will do whatever it takes.
Thank you.
I've seen this in fifth density, and yeah, it works. And I mean, it's even better and faster than we could even imagine, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think it's important to add is that when we are able to give people back their health, instead of just having more years in their life, they're going to have more life in their years. They're going to have vibrant and energy and joy and, you know, just that whole contribution of being a community. It's going to be, we're going to step into a new paradigm where it's not going to be the competition. It's just going to be the support and the love. And I look so much forward to that, you guys. So thank you guys so much for doing this. I would love to do it again down the road when our next project launch actually comes to fruition and we can discuss it together. And I really, really appreciate each of you for your uniqueness, for your oneness, and for your commitment to this project. So thank you so much.
Privilege.
Welcome. Glad to be here. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Been a privilege.
Thank you.